Hi, my name is Peter, and welcome back to Crushing Comics, the web series where I fall in love with my comic collection all over again. As you can see, we've been doing some falling in love so far, but there's a lot more books to open, and at the end of our last episode, there was a cliffhanger. I took down this giant bale of comics from the shelf. It is definitely multiple books, and this time we're going to figure out what is inside. So, you know, it's, there's multiple ways to appreciate your comic collection. One is certainly by reading it, but the other one is just, like, they make a lovely library. And, but I found that, like, now when I look at a house, as I did to rent this house here, now that we've moved to New Zealand, I'm asking, like, where's the library? Which is crazy. It's this very capitalist idea of, I need a room just to contain my stuff. I know I've talked about hoarders before, but even from not the hoarder's perspective, even just from this perspective, which I think is very American, of like needing his and her offices, right? Maybe not every American, and I don't mean to sound so like privileged to say that everybody needs multiple offices in their house, but both my wife and I do some working from home, and we need rooms that we can have all of our office stuff. Mine tends to have more recording studio things, her tends to have more craft supplies in it, and so we expect to each have a room. And as we were looking at houses, I cannot get this darn thing open. As we were looking at houses in New Zealand, we are now looking at like 4-bedroom houses because they, you know, they had a master bedroom, a room for our daughter, and then these 2 rooms that one would be my library/office and one would be her office. And the realtors were like, "Where's the rest of your family?" I still can't do the accent. I'm really sorry. I'm not trying to offend any New Zealanders, Kiwis. And we're like, no, there's no rest of the family. Well, what do you need all these rooms for? And it became very uncomfortable to try to explain that we needed them for like our capitalist binges, not really, and you know, to have offices, but my capitalist binges. And so, and people just didn't like get it. Not that people don't buy things here, but it's just not the culture to buy a house with extra bedrooms for your stuff. So, so we just started saying that we had in-laws that were going to stay with us a lot, which is probably also true. But not the reason we originally needed the bedrooms. So let's see what's in this giant hunk of books that caused me to get a larger house. Oh, I make that noise a lot because I just love a lot of these books. Like this whole fall in love again with my comic collection, I'm in love with it. I don't know if the love ever necessarily went away. So this is Annihilation, which is 3 hardcovers, and then Annihilation Conquest, which is 2 hardcovers. And I have to put on my explaining hat because I gotta talk through some stuff with you today. Okay. Here we go. So, Marvel had not been doing a whole lot with their cosmic properties as of the middle of the 2000s. There had been a Peter David Captain Marvel run, and this is not the Carol Danvers Captain Marvel that we know now, but actually the son of the original Captain Marvel, and it was well received. It was actually voted like Wizard Comics, or Wizard Magazine's favorite comic book at some point. But there wasn't a whole lot of cosmic stuff going on. Marvel also had done like a sort of line-wide event that was kind of half-hearted called Maximum Security that addressed some of those arcs with the Kree. But largely the territory was untread. So they started putting together what became Annihilation. But people think of Annihilation like one big event. It didn't start out like that. It started out with a number of individual series that were kind of gathering together these characters that would comprise the cosmic cast, and then ultimately became the big story of Annihilation that kind of tied them all together. It started to bring Thanos back into prominence. He had been kind of bumming around in his own solo series for a little while. It brings Nova back, and really Richard Rider as Nova, and gives him a renewed purpose to exist that also seems to kind of age him and mature him as a character. He feels very different than the Nova we knew from New Warriors in the 90s. Even at that point, he was older than he was originally, but now he really feels like an adult who's come into his own. But perhaps most importantly, in these Annihilation books, we have a certain green alien that we all know as Drax, and also Star-Lord. Now, there were no Guardians of the Galaxy as we know them in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point. Guardians of the Galaxy at Marvel had previously indicated this like time-swept team of deep space people, not the ones you know from the movie, really, and also another time-swept team of deep space people that ran in a comic book by Jim Valentino in the 1990s. It was not Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket, Groot. None of that existed. But Annihilation sets that up, because it starts to draw those characters together and give them a little bit of a shared purpose. At the end, we see Star-Lord as a sort of general in space, and we had not seen much Star-Lord for many years. I personally didn't even know who he was as a Marvel reader in the 90s, and I knew a lot of Marvel at the time, not as much as I know now, but he was really plucked from obscurity, as was Drax, quite honestly, although Drax at least had been in Warlock and the Infinity Watch, which people knew if they had been reading Infinity Gauntlet, because it was like the linking story between Starlin's Infinity Saga. So Annihilation as a story, it's not my favorite story of all time. It has some good moments in it. The Nova stuff is fantastic. I think it has some Silver Surfer stuff in it that's good too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it has a Silver Surfer series that's good. It has some Heralds of Galactic stuff that's interesting. But the reason it's really important is because it sets the cosmic stage for Marvel. And then we get Annihilation Conquest, which is the next portion of that. And Annihilation Conquest brings in Ultron into the proceedings, but also brings together some people you might recognize as the Guardians of the Galaxy. So that is how that team came together, and they are now in their own title that's kind of against the backdrop of this. And again, Annihilation Conquest, not one big series. It's Annihilation Conquest Prologue, Annihilation Conquest Quasar. Man, that is a tongue twister. Annihilation Conquest Star-Lord, Annihilation Saga, Annihilation Conquest Wraith, a few issues of Nova, and then finally, actual Annihilation Conquest. So both of these series of oversized hardcovers have been collected into 2 omnibuses, and because it has that space connection and because it connects to Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Annihilation one sold out pretty quickly. Annihilation Conquest moved pretty quickly, and they're just sought after and in demand. Personally, I really like to read oversized hardcovers instead because they're just like a little easier to hold and maneuver. And so I'm happy. I had this set before the omnibuses came out, and I'm happy to keep them now. I had the chance to upgrade the omnibuses, and I didn't. Of course, if you're tracking the omnibus line for these cosmic stories, then you can follow it into Prelude to War of Kings, and the War of Kings Aftermath, the Realm of Kings, which will take you all the way from the genesis of Guardians of the Galaxy here through all of that material, and to the point that Bendis picks up Guardians of the Galaxy in his own Guardians of the Galaxy omnibus just before Marvel Now, as they appear as a collected team in the first arc of Avengers Assemble. But you can enjoy these 2 stories kind of on their own as a pair, and then you can enjoy that War of Kings stuff on its own, because it's largely focused on the X-Men and the Inhumans. It just happens to be based on this canvas of space that was established in these books. So these are great books. I highly recommend them. And you know what? If you don't want to buy all this expensive stuff, because these hardcovers are expensive now, and so is the omnibus, as I alluded to, you need to just subscribe to Marvel Unlimited. Marvel Unlimited is Marvel's app, but you can also just use it on the website, where they post comics, you know, Netflix style, just for you to get on and binge as many as you want, whatever you want. And generally, it is a completely complete collection of Marvel from 2005 through to 6 months from today. There's always a 6-month backlog so that they're still moving new issues of the newest comics that are out. And the only stuff that tends to get excluded is stuff that happens to be mature readers, because they don't want to police ages on this. So if you don't have the, I mean, let's conservatively say $300 or $400 to pick up those 2 omnibuses or all of these hardcovers, doesn't matter. Just get onto Marvel Unlimited and read them. If you need to know what's in them, go to my Marvel Events Guide and see what's in each book, and then you can track them down in Marvel Unlimited yourself. So that's me telling you that books are not the be-all and end-all. I love Marvel Unlimited for research purposes, when I just want to check something, some fact, when I'm not like live on camera just trying to pull it all out of my head. It's great for that too, and it's really cheap. It's like 10 or 12 bucks a month. So the more you know about Marvel Unlimited. And now let's have our ceremonial adding to shelf. Gosh, I don't even know if there's room on the shelf right now for these. We'll find a way, and then I'll reorganize in between episodes. So well, they're just going to go up there next to Hellboy for now. Here we go. Ceremonial shelving of Annihilation and Annihilation Conquest. We're really building a collection up there. Tune in next time to see what will continue to unfurl. I have 4 out of 20 shelves unpacked, so we are only 1/5 of the way done. This excitement. Tune in next time for more here with Crushing Comics.